What is going on, squad? Today we are going to cover the specifics on a basketball program for the Isochain. We want to maximize our abilities on the court, and this is already taking into account our regular exercises and our practice for basketball. All right, guys, let's get into it. This is good stuff. All right, so the first thing I want to cover before I go right into all that is to make sure that if you haven't seen my video on what if basketball players use the Isochain, here, click the link right here. Go ahead and check that out, because if we don't know the value of the Isochain and we don't know the value of overcoming isometrics and what that does for the body, guys, I mean, it is going to be absolutely a game changer. But don't take my word for it. Check out the science and all the details in that video I just linked to. We're covering not only the exercise, but also the modalities, rest times, sets, reps, all that good stuff. So let's start with the exercises themselves. And they are, just like I mentioned in that previous video, the bench press, standing calf raise, squat, and RDL. Now we can throw the seated calf raise in there as well if we want to. That is totally fine. Good calves are not always about, hammering the gastrocnemius. The calf muscle is comprised of 3 different muscle groups in there. It's the gastrocnemius, the soleus, and the tibialis anterior, which like nobody trains. By throwing in the seated calf raise, even though we're getting the soleus with the standing one, you can target the soleus with the seated calf raise. So you can throw that in there as an honorable mention if you want to, but it's not necessary. We're gonna go through each one of these exercises on a 6x6 training style. What do I mean by that? I mean, for the first day, that athlete is going to do everything on a 6x6. This is the beginning. This athlete wants to get the best out of their Isochain work. So we're gonna go balls to the wall and we're gonna go 6x6 for all 5 of those exercises. This is after they do their dynamic warm-up, because you need to warm up for this type of training for the Isochain. We can do the chest press exercise here, which mimics a fly. Either or are okay, as long as we are hitting that chest. When we're talking about sports, we're talking about what exercises that we do on the chain, are they functional, as in do they translate onto the court? Just like we always get asked, are these exercises, do they translate into the gym? Yes, the answer is yes to that. But for these exercises, we're talking about athletes and sports. We want to make sure that we're not wasting our time doing stupid exercises that don't really translate. We want to make sure that they're translating onto the court. All right, so we're going to do the chest press, palms facing away or forward, either or, but we're getting that fly motion from the bottom, as if we were doing cable flies from the bottom and coming up. As soon as we hold here and the pecs are activated, that's what the chest press does, guys. So that is a very powerful exercise to incorporate on the Isochain for a basketball player. Why? Look at what I just did. Basketball. I'm holding here. All right. Now I played basketball when I was little. I'm sure a lot of people on the squad, they've probably had way more experience with basketball than I have. But you're holding it and you're ready to explode. You have to shoot. This is probably terrible shooting for. But you need to shoot, and you want to be explosive from any position. So when you're training your body to be explosive here and you're pushing up against that Isochain, and then you're in this position when you have the ball, what do you want to do? You don't want to be slow on that. You want to be explosive. Let's go on to the second one, which is the push press. Push press is an exercise I still have yet to cover on the channel, so keep an eye out for that. That is coming very soon, before the month of March is out. So keep an eye out for it. It's coming. All right, so essentially the push press is a minor squat with a shoulder press. You're pushing up as you're doing the squat. So you have a squat motion, and the chain is here, and you have the shoulder press here. So you're pushing here while you're in the squat. So your quads are getting the tension, your shoulders are also getting the tension. When they release, let's say the chain is going, what happens when you release? So you see this? I'm in my jump shot pose now. I'm sure I need to be squatting a little bit lower. Again, I don't play basketball, all right? So we're in this position. What is that gonna do for you? Your jump shot is so important. Being able to turn and switch directions at the tip of a hat, like I mentioned in that other video, once you're able to explosively change direction like that, and then it's time to go for that jump shot, to be able to have explosive power like that is going to not only increase your vertical, but it's going to catch your opponent off guard. You're already halfway up in the air compared to whatever is average. Remember, we're doing the same practice required to be great on the court, but we're just adding something else to make you even better than you already are. So you might already be at a high tier, but we're making you even better than you already are using this. This is all about explosiveness. Do not neglect the push press. Out of all of these, that is the most important one. RDL. So what happens when we're on the court, and we're here. We're just dribbling the ball, dribbling the ball, dribbling the ball. Got my opponent right in front of me. I'm dribbling the ball. What position is this right now? Look, now my knees are a little bent. We can do the deadlift. I know what you're thinking. We can do the deadlift. Is deadlift important? Yes, it strengthens the entire body, but we don't want any lower back fatigue. We need our lower back really freaking strong. Now, of course, the RDL is also going to target the hams as well. So we want to make sure that we're hitting that, and what better way than with the RDL? It targets the spinal erector, the lower back, and the hamstring. So we want to make sure that we hit those. Now we're still talking about 6x6. There's more to this, by the way. When we're in this position, and then remember, we're not just playing for 15 minutes. So sometimes we're on the court for 1, 2, 2.5, maybe 3 hours, all right? The length of a typical basketball game. In addition to the insane amount of cardio that's required, you need muscular endurance, but you also need muscular strength. You also need that. So if we're in this position, we're trying to figure out how to get around our opponent, or we're just trying to pass the ball, the spinal erectors have to be strong. This cannot be weak in any way, shape, or form. You also don't want it to fatigue. If your opponent's in front of you and your back get tired, and you're like, this is like not 10 minutes in. We're talking about, let's say we're about an hour and 15 minutes into the game, and you're back tired. What you gonna do? Just be like, hold on, man. I can keep playing. It's just my back is tired, bro. Can you just give me a second? Come on now. That's just unacceptable, okay? Y'all see the importance now. Next exercise, the calf raise. Now, it goes back to the push press, but now instead of the push press being here, we want to make sure that when we're on the Isochain doing the standing calf raise, that we're able to have explosive calves. The lower legs are really important, guys. So it's not just about having super defined calves. It's how functional are they. So they may be looking a type of way, but it doesn't matter as long as they're functioning the way that we need them to function. Now, here comes the best part. Yes, yes, yes. We are talking about time under tension, specifically endurance holds. We need to do these endurance holds. I know. They're pretty tough. They are very tough. If you have not done an Isochain endurance hold yet, strap in, because this is a wild ride and you will never forget your first endurance hold on the Isochain. So for newer people to the channel, if you haven't seen that, by the way, on endurance mode, check out the Iron Man video. Here's a link right here. Go ahead and check that out. And also the video on explaining average mode. Here's a link to that video. You can go ahead and check that out. I made that last year, and it shows the importance of utilizing endurance and having high muscular endurance for basketball. Listen, you need to have muscular endurance. If you have no muscular endurance, you're out of here. You're done. There's no way you're gonna last the entire game. What good are you if you're explosive for 2 minutes of the game? You still got 2 hours left, bud. So we have to make sure that we train for that. So now, the next day, we're going to train those same muscle groups, and we're going to do a 3x2 minutes. So we're going to do all 5 of those exercises. It should take about 20 minutes. How do you figure? So each exercise is going to take 2 minutes. We're going to do each one 3 times. And it's the force exertion is about 20% of our max. So 2 minutes times 3. All right, because we're gonna do 3 by 2 minutes. All right, that's 6 minutes. We're doing 5 exercises. 5 times 6 is 30. So it's gonna take about half an hour. This I would only do twice a week. These are absolutely brutal. You will feel these. These will absolutely change the game for your muscle endurance. It will be noticeable out on the court. You can just last longer. And the longer you can last, the longer you're able to do all those explosive moves that we were training for by doing the 6x6 the previous day. All right, so 6x6 for day 1, day 3, day 5, 3 by 20, yeah, 3 by 2 minute, day 2 and day 4. And I've designed it so that we can take 2 days of rest in between. Trust me, this is more than enough on the Isochain, and it won't interfere with your basketball training. When we're talking about progression, the progression style needs to be double progression. So if you haven't seen that video on double progression, I'm making a lot of links here. Here's a link right here. Go ahead and check that out. Needs to be double progression. So essentially, real quick cliff notes, what that means is that if you just pulled a 250 on your RDL and you're doing a 6x6 and that was your second repetition, on that third repetition, you need to be trying to beat 250. So let's say you get 255. on that third repetition. Normally on single progression, the number to beat for all 6 reps is 250. But when we're doing double progression, we did 250, 255. Now for the 4th rep, hopefully you're following, the number to beat is now 255. When we're talking about the endurance, the 2-minute hold, what are we trying to do? We don't really care about the max number. We have a number that we're trying to beat, sure, but in that case, we're trying to stay above it. The number that we're trying to beat for the endurance holds is the average mode number. So how long can our body sustain that force output? So for example, let's use the RDL as an example again, and we're able to hold 100 pounds for 2 minutes. It's actually pretty freaking impressive. If we really look at that, that's impressive. All right, 100 pounds for 2 minutes straight. Wow. Wow. Once we finish that lift, let's say the max was like 155, 160, which would probably make sense because that's probably what happened at the very first couple seconds of the lift. And you start to tone it down. And your average mode was right around like 85, all right? So, and that's still good. That means that for 2 minutes, you were holding 85 pounds of force. For 2 minutes, that's incredible, man. That's a very healthy lower back. Now what we're trying to do is beat that average mode number. So how do we do that? We try and keep that number the highest we possibly can for the next 2-minute round after we rest. By the way, rest time. You are going to absolutely hate me for this. 1 minute rest time. 1 minute rest time between the 2 endurance holds. Why? Because it's 20% of our overall force production. And remember, for the 6x6, the rest time is always going to be 20 seconds. If we're ripping all in for 6 seconds, our rest time is 20 seconds. That is the standard protocol for 6x6. Only under certain circumstances will that change. Usually the main factor for that is age. Basketball players on the squad, I challenge you to do this training for 30 days. I want you to comment down below and let us know what your day 1 numbers are and your day 30 numbers are. I can guarantee you that obviously not only are the numbers going to be different, but your performance on the court is going to be incredibly different. You will notice an increase in speed, explosive speed. So going from no movement, 0 to 100, that is what you need. All right. And you're also going to notice it takes a lot longer for them to fatigue. Both of those scenarios are exactly what any basketball player needs to elevate their game to the next level. All right. And again, this is all assuming that they're doing all the practice that they need off the court. Practice, they're showing up for practice, they're doing their cardio training. All that stuff is already taken care of. I'm already assuming that you're doing that, okay? And then we're adding the Isochain to it. And remember, these don't take long. Hopefully that was of tremendous value to you. If you're not yet part of the squad, hit that subscribe button. Come join the squad with us. All right, we going to the top, baby. We'll see you next video. Peace.